I was interviewed for a a book this past week, and it was called "The Sacred in Cinema." What stuck with me, excuse me, more than anything, is the power of the word "sacred." I like it because it doesn't uh, what's it called, wrinkle feathers. It doesn't create a lot of problems with most people. A while back, I said, I use Rudy's line: "If it's in front of you, it's yours." And then I modified that to, "If it's in front of you, it's God," which for me speaks as much as I need to have said. But clearly, the concept of God is so much a complicated issue for many people. But the word sacred is pretty light and easy, and yet it's deep and it's profound. The important thing to understand is that what's in front of you is not by chance, it's not casual, it's not haphazard. It is sacred manifestation. And I need to say that to you because our mind doesn't see it that way. Our mind judges everything in front of us and puts it in different categories of, this is terrible, this is wonderful, this is what I want, this is what I wish would happen, this is disgusting. All that stuff, goes on in all of our brains every day. And in the simplest version, if you can get to this point in yourself where you go, it's sacred, changes everything, changes the entire equation of your life. And, you know, for most people, it's a brain twist. You have to go click, 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 get it to the sacred mode. But it's also possible to just go, oh. It's so simple and it's so easy that almost nobody ever thinks to do it. But it's just a matter of rewiring a little bit of your perception and to go, thank you. And you can do it all day long. You can really do it from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, and even in the middle of the night when you don't think it's sacred. Sacred means it evolves from something much greater, something that is absolutely incomprehensible to our minds and brains, something we cannot put into story form, narrative terms, really, without limiting its potency and its power. It is the most extraordinary thing to feel that everything that you are encased in, your body, your mind, your emotions, your vitality, your lack of vitality, your pain, all of that stuff is sacred. It's not by chance. Nothing is by chance. It is willed, if you will, by something greater than us that we are not able really to understand, even though we make up stories about it all the time. This is awful. This is terrible. This shouldn't happen. Why are people like that? Da, 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 da. All that stuff that we give ourselves over to and make us really crazy inside on so many levels. If you can just step back and go, or bow down to it, even not without understanding it, even with knowing that your brain is kind of wired to give it place and purpose and meaning. Let all that go and just make it simple, sacred. That glass of water is sacred. The toothpaste is sacred. The person in front of you, whoever they may be and however badly they're behaving, is sacred. So, what do you have to do to get to that point where you are aware of the sacred nature? Well, as I speak every week, at this point, you can, sit and meditate. You can go deep inside. And if you have an access point to your own inner being, you'll know it's sacred. It's just, you'll know it, you'll feel it. And if you keep forgetting, what do you have to do? Just go back inside. Go back into this place, which is already an emanation of the infinite and eternal that resides within you. You may or may not know that, but people who meditate over the course of years and who have a practice find a way in over and over, and they work through so many different circumstances, wanting to meditate, not wanting to meditate, having a good day, having a bad day. They just go inside and something goes, it's okay. You're okay. It's pretty sweet. It's not huge. It's not like cosmologically, vibrant and vast where you suddenly are the knower of all things. It's just, you're okay. You're fine. You will be fine. You have always been fine. That's kind of the message you get. People who don't sit every day, for people who don't have a practice that goes deep, who forget that they have a practice, who forget that they have access to the work, the reality is that kind of remembering something is sacred, just as a click in the mind, is helpful. But the best times to do it is when you're having a bad time. Not, I say the best, meaning it helps correct the circumstances of your situation and makes it easier. So if you can go into your own space and watch yourself, and this is dialogue I have with you every week, this awareness of your reactivity to life when it is angry, when it is annoyed, when it is hostile, when it is suffering, when it is struggling, you are in a place that is unaware of its sacred nature. When somebody comes to you and makes you annoyed, you can go, why am I born? Why did this happen? Why were they born? You can go into all of that stuff. Or there can be a switch inside you that bows down and says, even this is sacred. Even this. And I'm telling you, you can say that to absolutely every circumstance of your life. Every moment of your life is sacred. And if you are able to turn that around, to change your reactivity from annoyance to acceptance, to go from anger to kindness, if you can do that in yourself, one, you will be living a much easier, sweeter, more pleasurable life. Two, you will be spreading that out in front of you. So instead of creating hostility and annoyance and frustration and anger and all this crappy stuff, you're living in an atmosphere of the sacred. And then you discover that your life, I'll take another word here, which may go too far. Your life is holy. Holy. And it can be H-O-L-Y or W-H-O-L-Y, but it's whole. And it's wonderful. And it is beyond understanding, which is good because the mind doesn't understand. It is just what it is. And it has always been thus. And if you don't know that or don't feel that or think that, all I can tell you is one, do the work, go inside, ask for help to surrender, help to accept, which is the core of the teaching of Rudi's practice, or just try to turn your mind around a little bit and see this world in front of you, whatever it may be. You may not like the fact that there's a dish full of sinks, a sink full of dishes. You may not, you get used to that. You may not like that, the world isn't designed according to your mind and your preferences. It is what it is, and it is sacred. It's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing. And if you click into that in the deepest possible way, your awareness of the sacred allows you to be a transmitter of the sacred. And you can walk into life as a spreader of a kind of holy knowing, awareness, being, consciousness that can be shared with everybody around you. You make the world an easier place, a sweeter place, a better place, which is like God knows something that's needed right now in our world. And you can find purpose, value, and real joy in being just by being aware that this is not a haphazard, thrown together universe designed by some madman. It's not that. It's not that. This is sacred. And if you can start to connect to that, you start to see all of the quote unquote madness as part of an amazing authorship, if you will. I don't understand who's writing this life that we're living, but I'm enough of a writer to know that writing involves rooting interest, because you have to root for something in life and hope for something. So usually it's something gets better, lighter, freer, happier, more joyful. Happy ever after is kind of a rooting interest. And whoever has designed this understands that the nature of story and of telling is good and bad happy, sad, war and peace, whatever you want to look at it as, it involves all of that. And it does it for some kind of a purpose, it feels like, for all of us to be engaged by it and to be rooting for it. When I was a little kid and I would go to the movies with my mom, we would sit together watching the movie, and there was always a place in what I now know is the third act where things look terrible for the main character who I love and am rooting for. And I go, oh, I got so empathetic and involved. And my mom would just hold me and she'd say, honey, it's only a movie. So I made this book that I've been writing, which is hopefully going to come out this year. That's the title. It's only a movie. We're all caught in this great, big, worldwide drama. And I'm telling you, from the engagement mode, when you're totally caught in the story, it's like, oh my God, how horrible, what's terrible. I mean, and it is. But go inside, and your mom or this great quality of loving and conscious energy will say to you, honey, relax. It's only a movie. That helps. Another thing that helps, and this one just arose this week for me, but it's really helpful. I was listening to a talk by Adyashanti. Many of you may know him, and I think he's about to stop teaching. And it just appeared on my YouTube thing. And I always, they know me, of course, on YouTube. They know everything I want to look at, and they bring up stuff. And Adyashanti came in, and he was giving a talk. It was an 8-minute talk, which is like a piece of something. But somebody was talking to him about suffering and backing away from life and wanting to pull away from the world. And he said, no. Lean in. It's a great line. And I have been doing that a lot. It's just so simple, because the great thing about leaning in is not that you jump in, not that you dive in, you just lean in. Instead of running from everything that scares you or makes you crazy, or the world that is so insane right now and all the things that are causing you grief, rather than turn away, I mean, you can turn away, that's fine. But if you're going to stare at what is, lean in. If you're having pain, lean in. It's not a big deal. It's not a leap. It's just this. And I'm telling you, it's a gift. And I'm finding it very, very helpful. It's not totally new to me, because I always hear the other line from Rudy, which is do the work. But lean in is sweeter. It's just sweet. You can just move in toward the very thing you're afraid of, the very thing that's disturbing you, the very thing you're projecting out into the future as horrific and terrible. Lean in and watch what happens. The mere leaning in experience is a moment of acceptance. You're simply accepting the world. You're accepting the manifestation of the world. Most of us right now are leaning out, turning it off, going away. And I've turned off a lot as well. I've turned off a lot of what can I say? The stuff I don't want to watch, because I don't need to watch it. I know it. I know it's all going on. I don't watch the news. I can't do it. But I am experiencing enormous global suffering happening everywhere. And everyone I talk to is part of it. Everyone I talk to is going through a real difficult time right now. And I want us to know, not that you have to fly over somewhere and get on battle clothes and do battle, or not that you have to hate people in the world who are supposedly evil and dark. You have to look at all of this through a perspective of there's a universe that has created positive and negative, good and evil, war and peace, brutality and joy, all of these different things. And you have to look at it and lean in enough that you don't cut yourself off from the flow of existence. You are part of this totality. And what you really need to bring to it right now is not cut it off. You need to bring in empathy, kindness, love, presence. And you don't have to bring it to the other side of the world. You need to bring it to what's in front of you. And I'll tell you why. Because what's in front of you is sacred. That's all. Lean in to the sacred, which happens to be everything that's happening, everything that is. completely, everything. If you can find that place, you will start to feel what I call mellowness, a kind of mellowness, a kind of okayness, a kind of acceptance that really works. And what I'm discovering, like when I have these pains, which I get in the middle of the night, I can lean into them. When I lean into them, I find a mellowness. Not that the pain goes away. I just go, thy will be done. And I'm even at the point where if the pain decides to build into catastrophic space, like they say, you're done, I really am leaning into that. I want to lean into that. There's a part of me that is growing into a deeper and deeper acceptance of the totality of my life. If it wasn't for Blanche, I would have almost, and I love you guys, but I have very little holding me into this planetary world bodily being. And it's fading. It's really fading. It's really interesting. Just to get personal for a moment, the post-COVID reality of my brain is I'm forgetting like at a pace that I never forgot before. It's falling, stuff's falling away. If the universe says you're done, I go, I'm going to lean in. And I'm also going to see that as a sacred note. I will miss you all, if truly. I mean, I really love you guys, but you're not holding me back. And the universe will do what it wants to do, but not just kindly and simply for me, for you. And if you're still in, struggle mode, anger mode, difficult mode, I totally support it. I get it. But I will tell you, honey, it's only a movie. It's only a movie. It's going to be the end. And you walk out of the theater, you'll take your popcorn with you, you'll go to the bathroom, you'll get in the car, you'll go home, and you'll go, that was a good movie. That was really fun. That was really interesting. Wow, what an amazing movie. And that's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. So all I can say to you is I love you guys very much. The takeaway, lean in and know that it's sacred and it's only a movie. The end. Questions after the movie? What was that about? what did we just watch? What was that? If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, go in yourself, because all the answers are there. Trust me, everyone. Okay. Love you all. See you in 2 weeks. Although these classes now are getting to be an amalgamation of East Coast, West Coast, so I don't know that we need to divide it up so much. Question, excuse me.
So I know that Rudy said that we're each responsible for our own sacredness. But how much do we owe to the atmosphere, the other people around us, to not spread like negativity? Like, it's very easy for me if one of my grandchildren is whiny or negative for me to get negative. And I want to be able to lean into the sacred a lot more of the time instead of getting lost in it.
I say for this the answer. It's not about need in a way. It's how much are you benefited by not getting angry, by not spreading your anger, by not experiencing and living in hostility? Who are you doing that for? I mean, it's like, is there a need? No, the universe will let you live in as much misery as you choose to live in. And as your story may have reinforced, who knows, it will also let you live in joy and beauty and calmness and mellowness and all of that if you want to do that. But it's a conscious act. It's supported by the universe. That's my experience. If you go inward into your heart chakra, you will find in all your chakras, there's this thing that just makes it okay. It takes care of you. But you have to go there. Or you can remind yourself with your brain, be nice, be a good person. You can do all of that for you, which then becomes available to everybody else. The word need is kind of your personal choice. Most people do spiritual work because they're in pain or in suffering or something, and they want it to be better for them. They want to make life sweeter and easier. And it's understandable and it's completely fine. But the interesting thing is when they do that, they make it better for everybody else. They make it better for the world around them, which is a really nice thing. And in a way, you start to discover how supported you are by this inner space, which moves toward kindness and joy and all of those things. So once you start to do that, the beneficiaries are everywhere. They're just everywhere. And the other choice, which you're allowed to make, is that nobody benefits from you and you create nothing but hostility and misery or moments of that conflict. And the world becomes what it always has been, which is a place of yin yang, good, evil, and imbalance, if you will, but that keeps it working toward balance. You can make a choice to find your balance, which starts to work its way out into the world and create more balance. And in a way, heaven on earth would be everybody in balance.
Yeah.
That'd be great. But, all we can do is create our own little circle of that. So I would say get rid of the word need and get it to want, or just kind of reaching into something. This is, for me, really important. The guys upstairs, as Rudy called them, they want it. And they support harmony, balance, kindness, goodness, and all of that. And if you reach up or in, they will promote that and help you get there. And this practice that we all do is that. It's a guidance into how to serve the sacred, how to serve it. And in a way, I know you do. So keep it up. Okay. Abby, that was your mom. Who was visiting, as you know, with your dad. The most wonderful visit. And it's great to see you. She looks so great. Yeah, I just had to tell them. Anyway, thank you guys for all being here. I love you all. And until next time, stay well.